That was a very flattering intro, so thank you, Vivian and Vivian. So my name is Rithiga. As mentioned, I'm a trainee solicitor at Jennings, which is a human rights law firm in Farringdon, central London. I work in human rights, which is litigation-based, so it's the closest thing you can find to suits or how to get away with murder in the UK. So if that's what you're interested in, you should think about this very seriously. It's the complete opposite to a corporate career in like mergers and acquisitions or a corporate legal career, mergers and acquisition or banking or cybersecurity. Is very different to those areas of law, but it's very, very rewarding, and I'll get into that more in the rest of my speech. I'm very active in the Tamil community. It's very important to me, and it's a matter that's very close to my heart. So I'm a member of a political organisation, and I'm also very active in our community in terms of refugee rights, as mentioned. I think this is also a very important organisation in terms of elevating our community and making sure that the next generation has the same opportunities available to them as their peers. So I'd just like to thank Dania for the opportunity today and for bringing all these very talented individuals together for you guys. So as mentioned, I completed my A-levels in 2019 and I went to Queen's University Belfast, which is a university with a very heavy human rights focus. So there I got to learn from very, very experienced individuals who literally wrote the textbooks on judicial review, which is the process by which you challenge any decision made by a public body, which is what I do now. So that was very, very cool. And I recommend that when you make your applications to universities, you don't just look at their ranking. Obviously that is important, but you also look at what your specific course will offer to you in terms of extracurriculars, as well as who your lecturers will be and what modules will be available to you. Because if you have a specific thing that you know that you want to study or research in your final year, it's important that you have those opportunities available to you. While I was at university, I thought that I wanted to do a corporate, qualify into a corporate role, and then later switch to a career in human rights or immigration. So that is what I pursued. So in my second year, I actually did a finance internship in structured finance at NatWest. And I rotated within the special asset finance team and the infrastructure and finance team. I hated it. I hated every second of it. It was very, very interesting, and what I learned was very, very cool, and what I did was cool, but I hated the culture and the actual, what I was learning. I didn't actually find that it was for me. It was still very interesting, and I was happy for my peers, but not for me. So I knew then, while I was in my first week, that I didn't want to do the grad scheme there. So what I did was, I didn't want to waste my time for 10 weeks, so I made sure to still seek out opportunities in law. So I asked to still have exposure to contracts and be involved with contract review. And that is one thing that I really recommend. That's one thing that I ask you to take away from my speech. If you start something and you realize that it's not for you, don't give up. Try and make it work in your favor, because you're not going to be dealt the cards that you want initially at the start. It doesn't usually work like that. So it's important that you make things work in your favor. So I completed that 10-week internship in my second year, and in my third year, I applied for legal internships, and I was offered a place at AIG in their in-house legal team, which is amazing, an American firm based in the UK. That was in insurance, which was a little bit more up my alley in terms of the type of culture, as well as the work and research that role included. But it still wasn't quite for me. I knew that it wasn't something that I wanted to study or pursue. So I decided then that I would take on more of the pro bono opportunities. So I assisted with an immigration application for 2 young children. And I just tried to make sure that I got as much experience that I could that was relevant to what I wanted to pursue during those 10 weeks. So in my final year, I did my dissertation on establishing international accountability for crimes against humanity and human rights violations in Sri Lanka from 1985 to 2009. And this is an area which didn't have much research done at that time. So it was a really good dissertation to do, and it really helped me with my interviews. And I really recommend that with your dissertations, whether you're studying econ or whatever it is, if you get the opportunity to do a dissertation, to make sure you do it, and do it in a field that you really enjoy, and that's something that you can talk about in interviews and make it relevant to show your passion. And also, if you do end up pursuing further study later down the line, it's important to choose a dissertation that is something that you would want to spend a year doing, or even a PhD. So during my time at university, I also volunteered at 2 refugee rights charities, as mentioned. And that really secured for me that I wanted to have like hands-on interactions with clients. So that was when I knew for sure that I wanted to be a solicitor as opposed to a barrister, because there is a difference between the two. Barristers go to court and do the advocacy, whereas the solicitor is across the case from start to finish, speaks to the client on a daily basis, prepares the legal arguments, does the evidence review, all of the good stuff. So that is what I knew that I wanted to do. In terms of like my more recent experience, so I worked at LIDE for 1 year within the international human rights team. So I got the opportunity to work on a very, very interesting case about around 100 refugees from Sri Lanka and India who had tried to make the small boat journey from Sri Lanka to Canada, but their boat capsized near Diego Garcia, which is a British overseas territory, and they've been detained there since October 2021 and still live there now. So that's a really, really interesting case, because it's a completely new precedent that's going to be set, because we don't know what law is actually applicable on the overseas territory, because it is a UK military and US naval base. So it's a very, very novel point of law, and I had the opportunity to research, attend hearings, take client instructions, and it was honestly a life-changing experience for me. I also got to travel to Rwanda for that, and it was like really, really good. Like, it was amazing, and like seeing these clients and being able to be their voice was insane, and it cemented a lot for me. So I was a paralegal there for 1 year, and then I got a training contract offer at Jennings, where I still do the same kind of litigation work. So at the moment, I'm involved with the Wethersfield litigation, where we're challenging the use of an RAF base as like a holding facility for refugees who come in small boats, on the basis that it is like inhumane conditions, it's false imprisonment, like it exacerbates the injuries that these people have already suffered, because they're normally always already traumatized individuals. So that's really, really interesting. I'm also involved with some policy challenges, such as the Healthy Start scheme, which is a benefit scheme for children from low-income households who are reliant on free school meals to have at least one meal a day. And it basically provides them with vitamins, but children who are the children of refugees don't have access to this, and because of that, that puts them from the outset at a major disadvantage to their peers who do have access to 5 types of fruit and veg a day. So I'm involved in that challenge at the moment, and it's really interesting if you guys keep an eye on that. In the news, but I'm involved in a lot of other cases, like individuals' cases, challenges to trafficking decisions, challenges to like asylum decisions. It's really, really, really cool. And my role involves a lot of legal research with a view to formulating legal arguments, taking instructions from clients, drafting witness statements, speaking to counsel, attending conferences, hearings. Also case management, of course, because it's litigation, so things change at any moment. Sometimes the defendant settles early, so so there's a lot of things there are a lot of moving parts at any moment. Sometimes there's something in the news, like for example, the election put a lot of our cases on hold because apparently the government legal department can't engage in cases. There's an election coming up. It's ridiculous, but that's really cool. Like trying to keep up to date with changes in what's happening in the world at the moment. At Jennings, I launched a diversity committee there because there is a severe lack of representation of people of colour and also women in this field, because the pay is a lot lower and the hours are a lot more demanding than other legal careers. So with the diversity committee, it's important to me that we try to give people the opportunities, paid opportunities to get exposure to these types of careers in the first place. Because I think a lot of people, when they decide to pursue a law degree, a lot of the time they do envision making a difference rather than a corporate career. But a lot of people are turned away from that path because of the various limitations that are imposed upon people from underrepresented backgrounds. So our diversity committee aims to launch a mentoring scheme aimed at final year law students, and we'll be launching that in September. So if any of you are eligible, you're obviously welcome to apply. At the moment, I'm also studying for my master's part-time, which is very time-consuming, but also very fun. In terms of my advice for you, so I don't know how many of you are interested in a career in law, but at the moment there is a new qualification route being phased in, which I think will make a difference to how you guys will qualify, and that is the SQE route as opposed to the LPC route. So I recommend that you guys keep an eye out for any developments in that area. I also just wanted to highlight that if you later decide that you want to pursue a career in law after embarking on a degree that has nothing to do with law, that is completely fine. What I recommend you do is you still try to get work experience and you still engage with your law society so that you still have the same access to opportunities that your competitors will have. And that you still show a dedicated and committed interest in law. It's always okay to change your mind. I work with colleagues who are a lot older than me who later realised that they wanted a career in law and pursued it wholeheartedly, and that is all you need. You just need passion and hard work, and you can get there as well. I think that when you choose your career path, it's important that you think about the impact that your career will have on your community, the world around you, and in particularly vulnerable groups. I think as Tamil people, we do want to see change in our world and like a better future for the younger generation, and it's important that we think about how our career aligns with that and whether the impact that your career, that your job is having on the day-to-day basis fulfills that. I think that in our community it is often frowned upon to follow your heart and to choose a career with passion as opposed to stability, security and financial safety. But I think that there are so many schemes out there now that can support you with all of those issues. There are so many bursaries available, scholarships, mentoring schemes, that shouldn't be such a limitation anymore. And I encourage you to do your own research and to get out there, speak to people who have been in your shoes before you, and use the resources you have available to you, and to make sure that you're choosing a career that makes you want to get up every day at 6:30 a.m. and put on your best attire and go to work and do something that you really, really care about. Your job doesn't have to be a chore. It can be something that drives you. It can be the force that makes you want to be a better person. It doesn't have to be as dry as is typically painted out to be. So that is what I wanted to say to you today. Make the most of today, speak to people. Even if you don't want to pursue a career in law, I'm still happy to give application tips and to just talk about my other internships if you're interested in other things. But yeah, thank you.